There is more of a chance of you finding a dead body underneath your bed than actually finding it in the garbage. If you ever plug your nose during a sneeze, you can actually rupture a blood vessel in your neck or your brain and it'll cause you to bleed to death. The electric chair was actually invented by a dentist. If a black cat looks at you and runs, it usually means something is about to happen to you, usually being pretty bad.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer. I'm crazy.
1999, a 23-year-old woman was kidnapped by 3 men, tortured her. After she said the men decapitated her for skull and a giant Hello Kitty doll. The men were eventually caught and convicted of manslaughter. Manslaughter don't seem like enough time. Yeah, that's if I'm thinking about manslaughter, that isn't that long. Not that long. And if they literally killed her, decapitated her body, and then put it in a Hello Kitty doll, that's like psychotic. Literally jump from a long time.
Who's recording?
I bet you've not seen your fingernail do this. It's a 1-year time lapse of a growing fingernail, which grows 3.5 millimeters per month. Men's fingernails grow a little quicker than female, and the white spots don't mean calcium deficiency. If you like cool science, follow for more videos like this one.
Here are some amazing facts that you didn't know. Created in Germany, ESS Lac is the world's first fully edible spray paint. It comes in blue, silver, red, and gold. Don't tell me you don't want to eat a gold chicken. In order to save workers' time during the construction of the World Trade Center, a mobile Subway restaurant was installed for their lunches, then moved up the building as they completed each floor. This incredible sculpture is by artist Zenos Frodakis and is located in Philadelphia in the United States. It's called Freedom. This is Emmanuel Joseph Bishop. He has Down syndrome, and from the age of just 15, he's been able to speak English, French, Latin, and Spanish, fluently plays the violin, and has 6 junior Down syndrome world records. In 2011, archaeologists discovered at the site of the old World Trade Centers in New York City half of an 18th century ship that was once believed to be used by merchants.
Did you know the day of your birth says a lot about you in your past life? Regardless of the month we're talking about, reincarnation and karmic numerology. Regardless of the month, if your birthday is on the 1st through the 9th, you fulfilled your karmic trials in the previous life. You may find your life being a little bit easier than those around you. You basically worked hard in your past life, so you were rewarded in this life. If the day of the month you were born was the 10th through the 19th, you didn't completely fulfill your karmic tasks in your past life. You may have been a little bit stubborn and only listened to yourself, but that's okay, you're probably still living a pretty good life. If the days you were born were the 20th through the 29th, you may have not been the kindest in your past life, the patience wasn't there, and if the day you were born was the 30th or 31st, you might have actually had fame in your past life, fame, money, wealth, but it may have been at the expense of others, so be kind to those now. Regardless of the day of the month you were born, this is just a conspiracy channel, so don't freak out, we don't know if this is real. It's just a theory behind reincarnation and karmic numerology.
These are absolutely insane statistics that you will not believe.
But I feel like I have
the global rate for washing your hands after using the toilet is only 20%.
It's crazy. I had to have
meaning 80% of you don't wash your hands after going to the bathroom. That's really unsanitary. Over 36 million US adults can't read above 3rd grade level. The average drunk driver drives under the influence approximately 80 times before getting caught. Driving under the influence is ridiculous. 1/3 of adults sleep with a comfort object, such as a teddy bear or a blanket. This is Angel Bear. 95% of millennials are not saving for retirement. There are nearly 12,000 annual injuries related to TVs falling in the US. Make sure you press the follow button if you want to learn more interesting facts like these ones.
I know something about.
Here are some insane space facts I guarantee you didn't fucking know about. That'll probably keep you up at night. Yeah, sorry. If you were standing on a planet that is 100 million light years away and looking back at our little big blue planet, you would be watching the fucking dinosaurs! Due to how fast light travels, E.T. and his fucking 19 children could currently be observing this big daddy. Maybe that's why they haven't visited. Because they currently think this is us. Next is actually water in space. I know, eh? Well, see, water is the most common compound in the entire universe. So much so that it's been found inside of clouds in deep space. And in one tiny corner of our little universe contains 114 trillion times that of all of Earth's oceans. So what you're telling me is, I can go for a peck and swim in space. Some alien Michael Phelps type shit. And certainly the largest volcano that we know of lives on our little red friend. Like, excuse me, you can see it from space! 374 miles across and 16 miles up. That's triple the height of Mount Everest. Right, Elon!
What's something you wish you didn't know? Stitch this with your response. I'll start with a few things that you can never unhear. The government ran an experiment where they passed guns and other paraphernalia through the airport to test TSA security protocols. Unfortunately, the TSA failed to test and a majority of the items got through. Scientists have no idea why anesthesia works. They just know that it does. They have some theories, but they don't know how the drug shuts your brain off or even how you wake up. In child pornography cases, somebody actually has to look through all the pictures and watch all the footage in order to seal the conviction. On average, about 2,000 children go missing in the United States every single day. And finally, the reason why dogs like squeaky toys is because it mimics the sound of their prey dying. Good luck sleeping tonight.
Oh, nah, yeah, what the
Turns
fuck?
out
Nah,
a few
Snickers
of your
don't even
habits
like
might
that
give
mouse
you
in the
those
little
answers.
ball.
One, you talk to yourself.
She's like,
this is your inner dialogue,
Nah.
helping you navigate life. Answers. One, that you're smarter than most people. Turns out a few of your habits might give you those answers. One, you talk to yourself. This is your inner dialogue, helping you navigate life and daily tasks. Two, you're lazy. This is because you're a deep thinker and you like to reflect, which causes you to be more tired.
What?
Three, you're a night owl. There's an article by Jeff Hayden suggesting a correlation between being more productive at night and being more intelligent. Four,
I don't know
you
about those.
occasionally procrastinate. But you do this to come up with better ideas, not to actually avoid work. Five, you watch this video and you click the plus to follow. You watch this because you question your own intelligence. But smart people underestimate their abilities and themselves.
That's
It's not
true.
luck. You are smart.
Some scary facts about our
Smart
world you
people are
probably
lazy
didn't
and
want to
productive,
know,
you
but
know.
I'm gonna tell you
Lazy
anyway.
has
I'm
nothing
so
to do with
sorry.
being smart.
Every unborn baby actually grows a mustache in the womb.
Some of these TikTok videos
This
be
mustache
stupid as
then
shit.
covers our
They
entire
say
body
some
and then
dumb
we
ass
eat
shit.
there.
I think that's the point of TikTok.
I don't know how to process the information that I was once Littlefoot. Over the average human
Yeah, but I
lifespan,
hate how
we produce
serious-
enough
how
spit and
serious they
saliva
are, like,
to
as
fill
if,
2
like, they
full-size
really-
swimming pools.
They really know what the fuck they're talking about.
In 2012, scientists found almost 1,500 new bacteria that were living in our belly buttons. Everyone's belly button ecology is
Watch your
unique
belly
to
button
them.
when you
It's
take
like
a
a
shower.
fingerprint.
It's
The
like-
individual's mobile phone has 18 times more bacteria living on it than a public restroom toilet. Ew. This is an eyelash mite. And while you're watching this video, it's on you! Scientifically known as a Demodex, sounds like a fucking Pokemon. Pikachu, what happened to you? Phantom time hypothesis is a legitimate theory. 297 years after the date 614 are completely made up. And that no human history happened there at all. But why? Anywho.
The human body cannot do these three things. One, you cannot keep your eyes open when you sneeze. And two, you cannot stick out your elbow and touch it to your chin. And three, even though it seems crazy, you cannot stick out your tongue and breathe out your nose at the same time. It's amazing but true. And hey, put your tongue back in your mouth. You look like an idiot doing that. Okay, look. Just follow my TikTok and I won't tell anyone about that.
We've all seen this logo pop up on the screen before some of our favorite movies, but you know what we haven't seen is how they took the picture of this line. You will not believe how they did it. I did all the research for you, and I'm about to show you how they pulled this picture off. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. It seems that they put the line under anesthesia and tied him down so he doesn't hurt anyone, and shoved his head through the little logo and took the picture. This is pretty wild. I didn't know about this. Tag any friends that don't know about this either.
That's weird.
Weird things that we all without a question did as kids. When it was cold outside to the point where you could actually see your breath, you used to pretend that you were smoking. When you were downstairs and you would turn the lights off, you would sprint upstairs just so that the monster behind you wouldn't get you. I still do this one though. When I turn off the lights, I be running up them stairs, bro.
I don't really
I know
do
you
that
used to
anymore.
stick your pencil through your eraser,
Now-
like a
now I
perfectly
know
good
since I don't
eraser.
do
You used
that
to
too
just
much
poke holes in
anymore, I
it.
know that
Watch, I'll show you like
upstairs
this. I know you've had at least one eraser that looked like
before.
that. You said talking to a fan, and once you heard how your voice sounded, you acted like a robot, didn't you? I know some of you guys, when it was raining or dark outside and you were looking out your window, you used to act like you were in a music video, didn't you? I know some of y'all did that. If you didn't do that, I know for a fact that when it was a rainy day and you were looking outside your little car window, you used to pick a droplet and hope that it won the race to the bottom. Yeah. When you were walking down the hallways and you were bored, you used to run your finger right along the little creases, huh? Watch like this. You used to put your finger right along there and go along when you were walking, huh? Follow me for more.
Fun fact. You know how lots of holidays have mascots like Santa or the Easter Bunny? Well, did you know that Halloween has a mascot named Stingy Jack? Stingy Jack is an Irish legend about a town drunk who enjoyed deceiving and manipulating people until one day when the devil came for his soul, Jack begged the devil to turn into a coin so he could buy one last drink before leaving. The devil agreed and turned into a coin, but then Jack put the devil in his pocket next to a crucifix, which rendered him powerless. Jack said he'd only free the devil if he agreed to leave him alone for 10 years, which the devil agreed to. 10 years later, the devil returned and Jack begged him to let him enjoy an apple before they left, so the devil climbed into a tree to get him an apple, but then Jack surrounded the tree with crucifixes and said he'd only free the devil if he agreed never to take his soul to hell, which the devil agreed to. Eventually, Jack drank himself to death. His soul tried to get into heaven, but he wasn't allowed in because of his lifestyle, so then it tried to get into hell, but the devil reminded him that he said he'd never take him in there, so then he begged for a way to light his way back to the human world, so the devil gave him an ember from hell, which was way too hot to hold, so Jack put it into a pumpkin to light his way, which is where we get jack-o'-lanterns from. And so Jack had doomed himself to wander the earth forever as a lifeless corpse. This story has inspired several characters, including Jack Skellington.
Facts you'll wish you didn't know. There have been reports of vacuum toilets, which are commonly used on airplanes and cruise ships, sucking the rectum out of people. When a male lion takes over a pride of females, he'll usually try and kill all the cubs that aren't his own. If you've ever gotten red eyes after swimming because you had your eyes open in the water, it's not from chlorine. It's the chlorine mixing with urine. The claw machine game has a predetermined number of winners already set. Claw machines have predetermined odds, so that say they're 1 in 10. 9 of the times the claw will be loose and kind of let the toy go, but if you're in the 1 in 10, it'll hold it tighter and you'll actually be able to win. So if you've seen a lot of people lose recently, it might be a good time to play the claw machine. Chainsaws were invented as a tool for cutting human bone during surgery. 2 doctors invented the chainsaw in 1780 to make removal of the pelvic bone less time consuming and easier during childbirth.
Quick psychology test. How fast is your brain? Try this. Name the color of each font.
Green. Yellow.
Too easy? Try this.
Orange. Purple. Red. Blue. Oh, wait, we gotta say the...
If that was much harder and you needed to pause, then you just experienced the Stroop effect. One explanation for this is that your brain can read a word faster than it can label a colour. If you want to see more on this, then check out my Instagram post.
Not the word.
Most illegal movies ever made. Now I actually can't show the footage, but I'll show some that are similar. Engineering Red. This movie is about a student who's trying to reconstruct human bodies. For example, transplanting somebody's toes on a human hand, and even trying to separate conjoined twins. Rumors surfaced that somebody who watched this movie actually tried to recreate the events in real life. I watched about 3 minutes of it, and that's about all I could take. Snuff 102. Currently, this movie is banned in around 25 countries. Snuff 102 is about a reporter who's obsessed with snuff films. If you don't know what snuff films are, how do I say this? It's pretty much while murdering someone. If you have a weak stomach, this movie is your worst nightmare. Finally, we have Slaughtered Vomit Dolls. The name is just gross. This movie is about a 19-year-old adult dancer who pretty much hallucinates Satan. If you've ever seen the Saw or the Hostel movies, pretty much this movie makes those look like a joke. Make sure to like and follow and have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
Times actors weren't acting, part 1. While filming Maleficent, they could not find a child actor that wasn't terrified of Angelina Jolie, who played Maleficent. So the only child that would work as toddler Aurora was Angelina Jolie's actual daughter. And the acting in their scenes together is really just Vivian trying to get her mother's attention. There's an iconic scene in The Joker that's all thanks to Joaquin's emotions and not acting at all. One day on set while filming this scene, he got to hear the movie's soundtrack for the first time. And this one tear in this scene is actually his reaction to hearing the music. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, when Malfoy stops his friend from clapping after a Gryffindor victory, but this scene is actually Tom Felton stopping his co-star from clapping because he actually wasn't supposed to. However, it made for a funny moment and made the final cut.
Stories about the dark web that you shouldn't know, part 1. This is a new series I'm doing. All of the stories I'm about to mention have been documented, so they are true. So there's a video that is circled around the internet called Dafu Love, or that's how you pronounce it. Apparently this video has made people go insane. Like, people have freaked out, been sent to mental hospitals, committed suicide, you name it, they've done it because they've watched this video. I'm going to show you this picture, and I want you to keep in mind this picture as I explain the story. So there's an Australian man named Peter Scully who lives in the Philippines, and apparently, as legend goes, he used to make videos of him torturing and murdering babies. Rumor has it that this man would use a hammer and a chisel to break the babies' skulls. They also would disembowel, and for those who don't know what that means, they would take out your internal organs. But keep in mind, this is only done to babies. And the scariest part of all is there's a rumor that they would use 2 babies as pillows in a pillow fight, and they would beat each other until the babies just died. That's part 1, like for part 2.
Nah, what conspiracy theories are too logical to be ignored? Part 5.
It's very possible that we shot down Flight 93. I was in the Air Force from 08 to 14 as a crew chief. During I met multiple people that were stationed at Langley AFB and DC that said we definitely scrambled F-16 the day from that base, and some of them came back with less armament than they took off with. It's horrible to think we would do this, but it does make sense. 2 planes have hit the towers, 1 on the Pentagon, and now you got a plane that is not responding to any callbacks. What do you do? Again, it's horrible, but in my opinion that plane has got to come down. If all this is true though, the skeptic in me is surprised the length at which the government has gone with the stories of cell phone calls, heroics, the movie and such.
More terrifying ocean facts. So, basically, an Australian fish processing factory, someone was cutting open a 5.5 foot long cod and outrolled a human head, which we don't know who it belonged to or where it came from. Also, on an Australian beach, a shark head washed up, and you might think, oh, someone like cut off the shark's head. No, something bit and ate the entire rest of the shark, leaving just the head to wash up onto the beach. Also, there is a new type of sound called Julia's sound, which we don't really talk about, but it is just as mysterious and just as loud as the bloop, and scientists also have no explanation for what it is. Further, there's something called red tides, which are basically massive algal blooms that are so toxic and deadly they wipe out all marine life in an area. Even people are at risk of dying, and they actually make the air around them so toxic it's deadly to breathe in. Also, there's a type of marine parasite that invades organisms, basically turns them into a slave and drives them like a car until they lay their babies inside of them, and the babies eat the flesh of the host, because yes, the ocean just loves to behave like that.
How rare is your body? Let's find out. Only 6% of people have a cleft chin. A cleft chin is just a dimple in the middle of your chin, and believe it or not, this is usually genetic, and you can actually add or remove one with surgery. About 12.5% of people have something called varicose veins. These are swollen or twisted veins under the skin that kind of pop out, and these are caused by weakened or damaged vein walls or valves. About 1% of people suffer from excessive sweating, also known as hyperhidrosis. This is when you suffer from excessive sweating, usually in the armpits, hands, or feet. Only 4% of people have something called Raynaud's syndrome. This is when a part of your body, usually your fingers or toes, start to turn white when you're exposed to low temperatures or the cold. And this happens because the body is overreacting to the low temperatures or to stress.
I do get more pale like when it's real cold though, like my skin. But not like that. Drowning inside these walls of fear. Take my hand and stay with me, my dear.
Don't be too polite. If you want to be perceived as assertive and powerful in a situation, don't use too much politeness. Doesn't mean be rude or profane, be direct. Say it as directly as you possibly can. No hedging, no indirectness, no beating around the bush, no apologies. As direct as you possibly can.
Psychology tricks seriously mess with people's heads. If someone's crying, comfort them and say, do you want some sand? Confusing people is the best way to instantly change someone's mood. If you ever have a friend or customer yelling down the phone at you, just let them rant. When they're finished, stay silent for a second and then say, hello, are you still there? That will throw them off and make them feel stupid. If someone sends you a Snapchat and you can't believe what they just said, reply with, sorry, I clicked off that message. What did you say? Hopefully they'll realise what they said was unbelievable and not want to resend it. Follow part 2.
Things that are way bigger than you think. Part 3. This is a human hand compared to an eagle's talon. To put that into perspective, they could probably pawn the whole face. This is what the world's tallest man ever would look like standing next to Shaq. Shaq is 7 feet 2 inches tall, and the world's tallest man ever was 8 feet 11. That red line is where the average American would be. Moose are a lot bigger than you think. Some of them can grow to be almost 8 feet tall off the ground. And finally, this is how big a traffic light is. I don't know what you're gonna do with this knowledge, but if you learn something, leave a like and maybe even a follow.
Welcome to Crazy Stories. These are historical facts that are actually completely false. Viking helmets did not have horns. In 1876, Richard Wagner created an opera that made this image popular, and that's where the horns came from. You may have learned it in school, but George Washington's teeth were not made of wood. They were made of gold, lead, hippopotamus teeth, human teeth, and actually donkey and horse teeth. It sounds like I'm making that shit up, but that's true. I know what you're thinking. Most of the shit I do make up, but that's really true.
Why do they teach us
Iron Maidens.
in school then? Like, what's the
Oops,
point of
not this
telling
Iron
us a
Maiden.
lie?
These were not an actual medieval torture device, contrary to what we've learned. These were actually from a museum in the 18th century that was made up to boost their sales and have people think that they were torture devices. Christopher Columbus did not discover America. Natives were there long before he ever would have made it. In fact, he never even made it to America. He was too busy hurling off the side of that ship from all the fucking waves.
In 1840.
Here's some facts that are literally going to make you question everything. One Lego can support about 800 pounds of weight before it breaks. If you could somehow dig a hole through the earth and then fall in, you would never come out the other side because gravity would just keep pulling you back and forth and you would just be falling endlessly forever through the earth. Skyscrapers actually get a little bit taller at night because most really big skyscrapers have about 50,000 people that work in them every single day, and the weight of all of those people makes the building shrink down about 1 millimeter, and then after all those people go home, it goes back to normal.
Fun fact you didn't know about Netflix. Netflix account for 90% of all worldwide online video subscriptions. 41% of Netflix users do not have to pay for their account. 70% of Netflix users binge watch. Netflix was originally called Kibble. Netflix revealed that one user has watched Madagascar 3,352 times.
Creepy facts you probably don't know, which about to, part 2. At one time, doctors thought that babies didn't feel pain. It took up until 1987 for the American Academy of Pediatrics to declare that it was unethical to operate on babies without anesthesia. So that means for years, babies were forced to just sit there and suffer through surgery without any form of pain control or anesthetics. So yeah, that's kind of scary.
Artists that made
And I noticed too that when you chill for too long, you know
What did you say about this? What the fuck? Oh shit. Wow. Alright. So we ended it on some white shit, but it is what it is. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that's the video, guys. That's the people in the video. That's the information they had. And I was reacting to it. I'm chilling. Some of the shit was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like the babies and the teeth and the history and all that crazy shit, man. But do your own research, you know what I'm saying? Don't listen to these people on the internet. Don't listen to us either. We're just watching for entertainment. So.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, man. But hey, stay tuned for the next video, you know what I'm saying? Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah. We out.
We out.
Cut.